Hello viewers, yes, it's me, the Rascal. It's a boat, it's a blog, it must be the captain's blog. It's the new season, it's 2017, it's the 13th of March, and I hope you can hear me okay. It's actually not Friday the 13th though, so we're good, we don't have to worry about superstitious things or scary things going on. It's just a better Monday than you might be expecting, because any Monday is better if it's on a boat. Not only that, but it's a glorious Monday. It's very mild. Suddenly we've had some horrible rainy weather and stuff of late, but the sun has certainly got his hat on, and he's going to be giving us some lovely rays as we go through the week. You're wondering what boat this is. It's the new finest flagship from Barnes Brinkcraft, Brinks Serenade. Literally just finished. And here I am on it. And there will be the usual cruising blogs. There'll be the boat review. Steve, I know you've missed them, they're back. And this boat is certainly packed full of features, as only Barnes Brinkcraft know how to do it. But before we get involved into, boating, and blogging, and so on and so forth, I want to just talk about something personal and quite upsetting. So grab yourself a quiet time, maybe a Kleenex, and we'll go through what's happened. So the reason why I'm here is because I was conceived the old-fashioned way, because there seems to be these days many ways of making babies by many different people. You might have babies that have been adopted, babies that have been made by IVF and the wonders of science. But back in the late 70s, I was just done the old-fashioned way. And I had a mum and a dad, and they brought me up to be the person I am. And a big influence on that, and indeed coming to these very waters of the Norfolk Broads, was my dad, Chris. He brought me as a baby up here to Hickling with my mum, and they had a caravan. And it became a kind of, not yearly event, but certainly something quite regularly over the years, until I was a toddler. And then we kind of stopped coming to the Broads, and I waited till I was 8 years old, when I returned again on Saucy Gem 5, which was hired from Richardson's in Stalham. And that was my first experience of being on a proper boat that you could sleep on, and I was absolutely smitten by it, loved it. Couldn't get enough of it, and then pestered my parents, when are we going to go back on the Norfolk Broads? And they weren't so keen, because they liked the canals. They'd done loads of the canals, and they'd done the River Thames, and they were going to do the Caledonian up in Scotland, but my mum said it's too deep, and my dad said, well, 100 foot or 6 foot, if his boat sinks you're screwed either way. But nonetheless, they relented and started bringing us up here on the Norfolk Broads as regular boating holidaymakers. And that's where I got the bug for boating and the Broads. And that person that caused that to happen was my dad. Now, my dad got cancer a few years ago, and he was very brave, and he went through all the treatment, and he beat cancer. And he had a number of years where he was then able to be the normal everyday person, but with a bit more swagger in life and a bit more enjoyment, because when you've come through that, I think it does change you. But unfortunately, it came back again. And when it came back again 3 years ago, he was told, this time, Chris, you're not going to get out of it. We can do what we can give you chemotherapy, but it's not looking good. If you don't do anything, you don't accept any of the treatment, you'll be gone by the end of the year. And if you do accept all the treatment, there's going to be a hell of a lot of awful side effects to go through, and you might get 18, 19 months extra life. Well, he wasn't going to give up, so he said, I'll take the treatment, thank you very much. And he started the chemotherapy again, but a much more vigorous and a different type of drug. And before long, all of the nasty side effects had presented themselves. His hair had fallen out, he had terrible sensations in his feet and his fingers, and it was taking its toll. But he didn't give up, and he just got on with it. And everything that came his way, he would step over it, and he would be strong, and he would, whatever the doctor's prognosis was, whatever the side effects were, he would carry on. He'd carry on working. He'd carry on travelling the world for his job. He'd carry on going on trips for leisure to Europe. And then 3 years to the day that he first went into the clinic for his first session of chemotherapy, last Wednesday, on his terms, he said goodbye to this world. Now, I knew that was coming. We'd been aware that was going to happen for a long time. He'd been in hospital for almost 6 weeks because the tumours had spread to his spine. But then, even then, he never cried, he never complained, he just got on with it. And when the final day came, in the evening, he told the hospital not to bother me or my mother. He got the strength from his bed and phoned me and asked me personally to come and see him one last time. We went to the hospital. He was in bed in a great deal of discomfort, and he told us he was going. And we talked a little bit, and then he slipped into a deep sleep. I stayed with him into the evening and eventually went home. And the next morning I was told around 10:30 he'd passed away. So the last person to speak to him was myself. And you might wonder, well, if that only happened last Wednesday, why are you on a boat on the Broads? This had been planned before all of this had happened. We weren't expecting any of this to happen with his passing. And my initial reaction was, I have to cancel that. But as the week's gone on, and I've had to deal with all sorts of things thrust upon you, from arranging a funeral, discovering he'd made a will, the beneficiaries of that will, finding out a whole new life that I had no idea about. He had a flat, his mother's flat. He kept his mother's flat on because he was so close to her and loved her so much. He couldn't ever let that flat go. And she died in 1984. But it was his little secret. And now I'm having to deal with that as well and find out all of the different facets of his life. But the fact of the matter is, he's my dad. He always will be. He got me on this wonderful waterland, the Norfolk Broads. And with everything else going around you, you just want to escape. So here I am, on my own, on the only place I know where you can reflect and be completely cut off, where you can reflect back on life, be quiet, or interact, go to pubs, visit places. And it was a special place for him. It was a special place for our family holidays and the memories that we've had there of being with him. So it seems quite fitting that I just come here on my own. But I don't want to just come here and dwell on things and be sad. So I've brought you along as well. And we're going to have a memorable time. So if you wonder why this blog might be how it is, now you know. And if you judge me for being here and not sorting things out, please don't. Everything is in hand, and I've been working tirelessly for the last week to sort things out. And when I return to London on Monday, we'll be having his funeral, and I'll be able to say goodbye to him one last time. So that's the sadness. I've had my emotions, the tears and everything else back at home. But what I want to say to people that watch this blog that may be suffering from their own problems or situations, whatever they may be. If you are going through difficulties, problems, illness, especially if you're a man and you feel that you can't open up, you feel that you don't want to trouble people, they wouldn't understand, they judge you, talk, share, embrace other people. They're there, they'll help you, even if they'll just listen to you. My dad wasn't one of those people. He kept an awful lot to himself. He even wasn't telling the truth to the nurses and doctors of how much pain he was in, because he wanted to leave the hospital, and he was suffering in pain because he didn't want to trouble them. So yes, do open up, do share. If you're suffering grief and upset, never think that life must stop and you cannot be the person that you are. Gain the strength from it. Because I know, if my dad was here when I was doing these videos and stuff, he'd be interested in them, where I was going and what I'd done, and watching them and so forth. So it all makes sense to me. And if it wasn't for him, I would never have known about the Norfolk Broads. I would never come on a boat, and I would never have got the bug to keep coming back and enjoying it. And I suppose that means that if you've got a family, cherish it, enjoy it, explore. If you haven't got much money, go out to the park on a Saturday afternoon. Because really, looking back at my life, I'll be 38 in June. I don't even know where it's all gone myself. It isn't a long time to be around. And if you don't enjoy it, what's the point really? You just go from day to day. And so all of this has changed my whole perspective on life and everything else. So there's the depth and the seriousness out the way. Let's talk about boats. So as I said, we're on Brinks Serenade, and this is a brand new boat from Barnes Brinkcraft. Although, if you're a bit of a geek on boats, you'll be aware that this design looks familiar somehow. And that's because it is an older design. But there's nothing wrong with that, because some things just work. And if they just work, then why not refresh them and make them a bit better than they already were before? So let's just talk about some of the things that you're going to find on Brinks Serenade should you choose to hire this boat. So first of all, unlike say Rhapsody at Barnes Brinkcraft, it's not a hybrid boat. It's quite traditional in its ways, yet at the same time it's very groundbreaking. So at the back of the boat, at the stern, you've got the 50 horsepower Narni engine, which is powering a hydraulic pump that powers the hydraulic motor that drives the propeller. So that means you haven't got the engine under the seat, which you have on other boats like this. There's syndicate boats that are based on this design, which are longer and they have a outside steering position. And Barnes Brinkcraft themselves have a couple of these boats, which I think is called Braymore, but I might have got that wrong because I haven't done my homework and I just thought of it now. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But those boats have the engine under the seat, and that means that when you're going along, you've got the benefit of a shaft-driven engine, so slightly better fuel economy, more responsiveness, but you've also got a big box that takes up the saloon space, not to mention the fact you're sitting on an engine. And despite the best efforts of having sound insulation, you're still sitting on an engine, you know about it. But Barnes Brinkcraft, by putting the engine out the back, it makes the inside of the boat really quiet, there's no vibrations. And then they did something strange with the seat, which I'll show you another time, and especially during the boat review. It's a fully electronic, hydraulically assisted helm seat that comfortably would seat two, or a robin and a half. But it doesn't end there. It's 2017, so we've got the independent sliding canopies, except these ones are electrically operated. So from the helm, oh, it's raining, not a worry. Or you want to stick your head out the roof, not a worry. And you can do both of those independently. which is pretty cool, as long as someone's not up there walking along the boat and suddenly the roof opens and they fall in. It'll be a laugh. You've also got a electronic throttle control. Now some people might think, oh, I don't know about that. My impression of it, very good. There's no mechanical link between this and the engine. It's all run on a CAN bus system, and it sends an electronic code down there which basically has something attached to the engine throttle, the governor, and it opens and closes the throttle. But it means that you can have a very flush mount throttle control. There's no worries about throttle cables breaking, fraying, getting stiff, and all the rest of it. There's a boat management screen that will tell you everything from your fuel burn, your battery percentage, turn the immersion heater on and off. I'll show you all about that. You've got a GPS speed log. You've got USB charging sockets everywhere. You've got very nice upholstery, lovely light interior. But you've also got the best of the old. So you've got a boat, a brand new boat, that goes under all the bridges. Possibly, if you've crossed everything, and I don't know, jumped backwards and said, hallelujah, I'm a piggy porker, maybe the gods of Potter Heigham will let you through the bridge. It certainly was designed to go under the bridge way back in the day. But, as I say, let's just say it won't. It'll go under Wroxham, Beccles Old Bridge, Wayford Bridge, etc. And you're not in a bathtub, you're not at the front of the boat, you're in the centre. You've got a really nice social area. You can have people here, you can have someone here saying, hey baby, yeah, you like my ride? No, that doesn't work, does it? I'll just stick to being a London boy. But anyway, it's not a fly bridge that will fit under the bridges. Now you might say, well, okay, centre cockpit boats, they fit all the bill. They have the canopy that goes back, some of those are electric, and that's lovely. But it's nice to have a bit of a change than just a centre cockpit. It's nice to have a new boat that's not a flybridge boat. You've got the low, wide side decks to walk around. Great, that's an old idea that sort of fizzled out some time ago with some of the new builds that were coming on stream. But one of the downsides of the original boat of this, it had quite a high stern, so mooring stern on at Ramworth or Salhouse, bit of a problem to get on and off. But Barnes Brinkcraft have stretched the boat, the length of the boat, just a little bit, and then they've scooped out the back of the boat, making it really easy to get on and off. And that's not just for like you and I, that's for our four-legged friends as well. Not only that, but the interior of the boat is all one level until you go into the front cabin. And even then, it's only a few inches step down. It's not like, you know, up steps and down steps and everything else. So, there's lots to discover. You've got a bow thruster, you've got your hydraulic steering, you've got an incredibly quiet interior. You've got all the modern looks with the tinted glass and the anodized aluminium frames and everything with no screw holes visible. You've got this lovely headlining, dimmable LED lights, nice tellies in every cabin, electric galley, which doesn't appeal to some people, but we're giving that a go and seeing how that performs. You have got an enormous battery bank, massive battery chargers, and I can't remember how many. We're dealing with kilowatts of alternator output on this boat. It's like 2 kilowatts of power this boat can produce from its alternators, which is, you know, quite phenomenal. So it's a brand new boat. I'm on it on my own. It's 38 foot long, it's 12 foot wide, and it is coming up to 4:30. We're on the River Bure. We've come out of Wroxham. It's day one. You know these blogs. I start off and I just talk because I haven't been able to set all the cameras up and everything else. I've got things to try with cameras. I've bought a microphone, separate independent audio, you know, lapel posh. I've brought my big tripod. So we're going to try some new things with that, because it would be nice to see how that works, and if I can sync the audio in post, then that's great, and if I can't, it'll be a disaster. But we're going to be trying that for this new 2017 season. And it's not just about hire boats, of course. At the weekend I take this back and then I'll be going and working on Broad Ambition, which is the boat that I part own, and we're doing a lot of stuff with that. So there's a lot of things going on at the moment. We just took her out of the water over the winter period in February, and we replaced some rotten timbers at the back of the stern. I painted the entire hull, varnished areas, new solar charge controllers, painted the cabin tops, you name it. And then there's a whole list of stuff that we didn't get around to doing. Anti-fouled the boat. It was a lot. It was cold and it was hard work, but it was good fun actually. Learned a lot, had a good time doing that. It's part of boat ownership, and I'd much rather get involved with something, you know, picking up a paintbrush and doing that kind of thing to your best of your ability than just saying to someone, can you paint the boat please, there's some money, because you have this sense of achievement. So where are we going? Well, I don't know, bloody hell, I can't. We're passing Sow House. I could moor there, could put the mud weight down even. It gets dark about, I don't know, 5:30, 5:45. So I thought, Horning's not going to be free, let's face it. It's out of season, it's March, but Horning's not going to be free. So then what? Do you go to Ramworth? Do you press on for St Bennet's? Or do you go for Sow House? I'm thinking Sow House. Although if I go to Sow House, I've got very little internet access there because of the hills of Sow House. Block everything off. I've got a new dongle as well, new MiFi unit with 3, it's 4G, just got it the other day. I've got a new laptop. The boat comes with Wi-Fi though, provided I think by 3, it could be, I'm not sure, we have to find that out. But yes, I have no idea where we're going, and it's odd to be on my own. You know, come on Broad Ambition, got Sheila with me, aka Bow Lady. She's jealous, but she can't be here because she's got to do her work. So yeah, it's just me on a brand new big boat where you steer from the centre and you can't easily get out without the canopy being open. Oh, it'll be a bundle of laughs, won't it? Well, I thought it would fit under Wayford Bridge. I'm sorry that I've ruined your new boat, Barnes Brinkcraft. Anyway, so basically that's it for now. I'll update you when we get up the river somewhere, and the real sort of rah of the captain's blog will start tomorrow, and then we can do a proper thing, and I can have all my cameras and gizmos and gadget boo-boos going. Gadget boo-boos, mustn't forget that. But first impressions of the boat, having taken it over only half an hour ago, is very smooth, very quiet, very comfortable sea. Lovely to have the inside coming in, hear all the sounds outside. Obviously if it's raining you can't, but don't worry, there's a windscreen wiper. And yeah, I've just not had a chance to really look around it. But it's called, by the way, the Heritage 39 by Heritage Motorboats. Well, I wasn't expecting to be able to get in here at Horning, but there was a free space, so I'm here. Didn't have a chance to film that. It just literally came around the corner, saw the space was available. The time is 2 minutes to 5, so you can moor it on your own, even if you're in this sort of condition. So now it's time to sort of unpack, do the beds, blah blah blah, and that sort of ends today's captain's blog. Day 1, but I'll just show you how the boat looks from the outside just before we conclude today's episode. So this is how she looks on her port side. You can see some of the solar panels that are there. They actually go all the way over the back of the boat there. So there's 4 large ones that put out about 100 watts each, and then there's 4 smaller ones that put out 50 watts each, which run down the spine of the boat here. Another change they've made is the shape of the window here in the aft. And if we come to the stern, you'll see what I was talking about with the additional extra space here and that cutout with the stern. So I'm going around and I'm just noticing a few things, you know, just to report back to Barnes Brinkcraft. For example, no stern fenders. On the sort of look of things, you think, well, why do you need those and how would you have them? I just put a couple of eyelets here and here and here and here, have the fenders this way round. Why? Not really to protect the boat, they won't really do that, but it will stop that nudging the key, which will drive you mad if you have a boat without them. Squeaking and knocking, the fenders being soft, they just absorb that little knock. Wherever you moor stern on, particularly on the southern rivers, sort of Beccles Yacht Station, places like this, makes all the difference. But as you can see, nice wide side decks all the way down. Nice provision of the grab rails to come to hand easily. And that is my phone ringing, so I better go and answer that. But thanks for joining me on day one.